They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. In my case, it was worth watching my mother's face turn from smug superiority to shocked disbelief. Let me tell you how I went from being the unsuccessful daughter to the owner of the most exclusive photography studio in Beverly Hills. I'm Sophie Martinez, and I've always seen the world through a different lens, literally. While my siblings chased traditional careers in law and medicine, I fell in love with photography at age 12 when my grandfather gave me his old Nikon camera. Art won't pay the bills, my mother, Elena Martinez, would say dismissively. Look at your sister Maria, already a junior partner at her law firm, and your brother Carlos is finishing his residency. That's real success. But I saw something they didn't. In a world of Instagram and personal branding, professional photography was becoming more valuable than ever. While I got my business degree to appease my parents, I spent every spare moment learning photography, building a portfolio, and studying the business side of the industry. Mom's disapproval grew with each passing year. When I turned down a corporate job offer to work as an assistant at a small photography studio, she nearly had a heart attack. Minimum wage? After we paid for your business degree? She paced our living room, alternating between Spanish and English in her fury. Que vergüenza, what a shame. What my family didn't know was that I had a plan. That small studio, Jensen Photography, was actually one of the most respected names in the industry. Its owner, Thomas Jensen, was looking to retire and had been quietly searching for a successor. I worked 18-hour days, learning everything I could: studio management, client relations, lighting techniques, marketing. I absorbed it all. My savings account stayed empty as I invested every penny in equipment and training. 3 years passed. Maria got married in a lavish ceremony that nearly bankrupted our parents, but they considered it worth it for their successful daughter. Carlos finished his residency and joined a prestigious medical practice. Meanwhile, I was still just a photographer. Then came the moment that changed everything. Thomas called me into his office one Friday evening. "Sophie," he said, sliding a folder across his desk, "I'm retiring next month. I want you to take over the studio." My heart stopped. "Mr. Jensen, I can't afford to buy you out." He smiled. "Read the folder." Inside was a proposal that would change my life. Thomas would finance 80% of the purchase price, allowing me to buy him out over 10 years. He'd seen something in me that reminded him of himself when he started, raw talent combined with business acumen. "You understand both the art and the business," he said. "That's rare. Don't waste this opportunity." I signed the papers that night. The transition was kept quiet. Thomas wanted me to establish myself before making any announcements. We renovated the studio, upgraded the equipment, and rebranded to Luminous Moments Photography. I added new services catering to social media influencers and corporate clients, while maintaining our reputation for high-end family portraits. Within a year, our revenue had doubled. Celebrities started booking sessions, magazines featured our work, but I kept my success quiet from my family, partly because I was too busy, but mostly because I was tired of their judgment. Then came the annual Martinez family reunion. Mom had been planning it for months, determined to showcase her successful children to our extended family. "We're doing professional family photos," she announced in our family group chat, "at the best studio in Beverly Hills, Luminous Moments. Very exclusive, very expensive. Maria's law firm uses them for their corporate headshots." My heart skipped a beat as I read the message. "Everyone needs to contribute $500 for the session," Mom continued, "except Sophie. Of course, this photo shoot is for successful family members only." Maria chimed in, "Sorry sis, but Mom's right. This is a premium studio. The photographer charges thousands per session. Maybe next year when your career improves." I watched their messages flood in, each one more condescending than the last. "Carlos suggested I could help by taking behind-the-scenes photos with your little camera." The day of the photo shoot arrived. I watched through the security cameras as my family pulled up in their luxury cars, dressed to impress. Mom led the group, wearing her finest designer outfit, ready to orchestrate her perfect family portrait. They walked into the reception area, where my senior staff greeted them professionally, not letting on that they knew exactly who these people were. "Mrs. Martinez," my receptionist Sarah said smoothly, "welcome to Luminous Moments. The owner will be out to meet you shortly." "The owner?" Mom preened. "How lovely. I've heard they're very selective about their clients." "Oh yes," Sarah replied, fighting back a smile. "Very selective indeed." My family settled into the luxury waiting area, admiring the stunning portraits on display, all my work, though they didn't know it yet. "Look at these photos," Maria gushed. Sophie could never produce work at this level. That was my cue. I stepped out of my office, wearing my usual professional attire, a sleek black suit that Mom had once criticized as too expensive for a struggling photographer. The look on their faces was priceless. "Welcome to Luminous Moments," I said calmly. "I'm Sophie Martinez, owner and head photographer." Mom's jaw dropped. Maria's designer handbag slipped from her fingers. Carlos actually took a step backward. This is impossible," Mom stammered. You're just a photographer?" I finished for her. "Yes, I am. I'm also the owner of the best studio in Beverly Hills, your words, I believe." I gestured to the wall behind them, where my name was elegantly displayed in gold letters, Sophie Martinez, owner head photographer. But how? Maria found her voice. "This place is worth millions. 3.5 million, to be exact," I said. "And yes, I own it, all of it. Those premium rates you mentioned, they go straight to my company's bottom line. That very exclusive reputation, I built that." Dad, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. "Mija, why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me?" I asked quietly. "When have any of you ever taken my career seriously?" The silence was deafening. "Now," I continued, "all business. You've booked a family portrait session. The rate is $5,000, not $500. Someone must have misread the zeros. Shall we proceed, or would you prefer to cancel?" Mom's face fluctuated between embarrassment and anger. $5,000? That's the standard rate for our celebrity clients," I finished. "Though for family, I suppose I could offer a discount." I paused. "Oh wait, this photo shoot is for successful family members only, isn't it?" Maria had the grace to look ashamed. Carlos studied his expensive shoes. Mom opened and closed her mouth several times, but no words came out. I let them stew for a moment before speaking again. "The session is on the house. Consider it my contribution to the family reunion. But first, we're going to have a conversation about respect, success, and the different forms it takes." For the next hour, I showed them around my studio, the state-of-the-art equipment, the celebrity client list, the magazine features, all of it. With each revelation, their perception of their struggling daughter crumbled further. "Those wedding photos in Vogue last month?" I said, pointing to a magazine cover. "Mine. The corporate campaign that won Maria's law firm a marketing award? My work. That medical journal cover you're so proud of." "Carlos?" I shot it. "Why didn't you ever say anything?" Mom whispered. "Because you never asked," I replied simply. "You were too busy measuring success by your own narrow standards to see that I was building something significant." The photo shoot that followed was interesting. For the first time, my family sat under my lights, followed my direction, and saw me in my element. I captured every moment, including their lingering discomfort at our reversed positions. When I showed them the final images, even Mom had to admit they were extraordinary. "You've captured everyone's best angles," she said, studying the photos, "even mine, and I hate how I look in pictures." "That's because I see people as they are, not as others expect them to be," I replied. "It's what makes me good at my job, the one you thought was beneath me." The photos were perfect. Of course, I'm nothing if not professional, but I also took one extra shot, catching their expressions when they first realized who owned the studio. That one's framed in my private office, labeled the day they finally saw me. In the weeks that followed, my family's attitude underwent a dramatic shift. Suddenly, my opinion was sought on everything from investment decisions to career moves. Maria hired me for her law firm's entire marketing campaign. Carlos asked me to teach him photography as a hobby. And Mom? She did what Latin mothers do best. She completely reversed her position and began bragging about me to everyone who would listen. "My daughter Sophie? She owns Luminous Moments, you know, the famous photography studio. So talented, so successful. She gets it from me, of course." I let her take credit. Success, I've learned, is sweeter when you can share it, even with those who doubted you. Last month, I opened our second location in New York. The invitation-only launch party was covered by major media outlets. My family attended, properly invited this time, and I watched with amusement as Mom worked the room, telling everyone within earshot about her entrepreneurial daughter who built an empire from her passion. Maria pulled me aside during the party. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, "for all the times I made you feel less than. You're not just successful, you're extraordinary." Carlos joined us, adding his own apology. "Remember when I said you should take behind-the-scenes photos? Now my colleagues are begging me to get them appointments with you." I hugged them both. Success isn't about the money or the prestige, I said. It's about being true to yourself and your vision. Everything else follows. Dad found me later, tears in his eyes. Your grandfather would be so proud, he said, touching the vintage Nikon I keep displayed in my office. He always said you saw the world differently. We should have seen it too. The studio continues to thrive. We now have a 6-month waiting list for portrait sessions, and our corporate clients include some of the biggest names in business. I've started a mentorship program for young photographers, teaching them both the artistic and business sides of the industry. Mom still introduces me as her famous photographer daughter, but now there's real pride in her voice, not just social climbing. She's even started taking smartphone photography classes, sending me her attempts at artistic shots with endearing enthusiasm. Last week, we did another family portrait session. This time, everyone helped with the $5,000 fee, even though I offered to comp it again. We need to show we value your work, Mom insisted. As I set up the lights and positioned my family, I thought about that day when they first walked into my studio, unaware that the struggling daughter they'd excluded had built the very success they wanted to borrow. Everyone say success, I called out from behind the camera. They laughed, and in that moment, I captured something more valuable than any portrait, the image of a family who had learned that success comes in many forms, and sometimes the best picture is the one that makes you see things differently. The photo from that session hangs in our family home now, right next to my grandfather's old Nikon. Under it, Mom placed a small plaque that reads, "Sometimes the clearest vision comes through a lens others overlooked." I'm still just a photographer, but now they understand, that's exactly what I was meant to be.